Do you want to write fiction with deep life lessons? Andy Andrews is a master at combining life lessons with fiction in a way that draws you in and you just can't put it down.
We have 3 writing tips for you based on Andy Andrews' book, The Lost Choice. These writing tips will help you add new depth and dimension to your writing.
Now, I love Andy Andrews' books. They're some of my favorites.
Yes.
I've read them and just got a lot out of them. But this book, this is a really good one. You need to read this, and if you're an author, pull these lessons out and add them to your writing to just make it way better. Now, the first lesson we can learn is Andy Andrews takes big topics, big concepts, and he nails them to tiny objects in his writing. So Andy can take a vague concept or a life lesson that's kind of just big and hard to wrap your head around, and he ties it to a small, tiny, reoccurring object, and that makes it more realistic, more tangible for us. So if you take something like the topic of courage, for example, and you tie that to a reoccurring topic or a recurring object that, brings it to reality, we're more likely to absorb that life lesson.
He drops a dented, tarnished medallion into our palm, and we can feel it. And what that does is it takes this large concept of legacy and attaches it to a tangible item. And what this does is it gives the reader an anchor to hold them to that concept without him having to preach a sermon about a legacy.
To apply this in your writing, take a core theme that you're discussing, maybe something like freedom or loss or betrayal, and then tie it together with some random weird object like a flower pot or a medallion or a coin or maybe a hat, and have that throughout, and it will constantly anchor that topic to that object.
I want you to write 3 short paragraphs. So let's say it's a pot. And the pot in the first paragraph has this beautiful flowering plant in it, and it's thriving. In the second paragraph, the plant's dead, and the pot is cracked.
Sounds like you got hold of it to me.
Very funny. In the third paragraph, someone is taking that pot and gluing it back together with all the cracks and dents and trying to plant another plant in it.
That would be me.
So don't try to explain the theme. Just let the pot do the talking.
Now, if you like content like this, where we're taking a book and pulling some lessons into it, give us a like, give us a share, subscribe, all that stuff. But take this and apply it in your writing and see what you can learn. Drop us some comments about how that goes. The second lesson we can learn is that Andy Andrews takes these timelines and ties them together in a knot. And it kind of seamlessly puts all these different things together in a way that is a little bit unusual. And that's part of what holds your attention.
The story jumps from the 1400s in France to 1940s in Alabama, and it's often sometimes mid-thought, but it's really not confusing. You can track with it, and it works. And one of the secrets of this is that the jumps they're not random.
Right, they're not just weird things disconnected.
They're thematically linked. And so what happens at the end of one chapter is it ends on like despair, and then it jumps to another character in another time and another place. And that character, it has despair, but then it shifts to hope. And so they all just seamlessly flow together.
This makes history feel like a single connected conversation, and the reader has to thread that needle and follow it, chase it wherever it goes. And this holds their attention in a brilliant way. And you can do a similar thing by connecting themes for chapters rather than just chronology.
Try this exercise. Create 2 characters. So one, make the first character a modern-day coder working with computers, and the other character a medieval scribe. And so write your scene with the modern-day coder where his life work has just been destroyed. And actually both of them have. Their life work's been destroyed. That's the premise. And so write your scene with the coder. and focus on just the ruin of his life's work. The keyboard keys are just scattered and it's a mess. He's just totally ruined.
Then write the opening sentence of the scribe with the parchment that's torn and laying on a stone floor. And use this as a way to bridge or to tie them together with this thought or theme of ruin.
And the third lesson is that he takes his philosophy and he inserts it into the dialogue, not in dry narration. And this makes the lesson so much more powerful to the reader.
So to do this, take a concept in your dialogue, in your writing, something like maybe forgiveness is a choice, not a feeling, and put it into dialogue where it's an action that somebody has to, a sentence that somebody has to say before the action. So, for example, if you take two characters, you put them in a tense situation, and one of them has to say that word like, well, forgiveness is a choice, not a feeling, and then the other one has to respond to it, you're getting the point across, but it's in dialogue, not in a lecture.
If you missed our book review of Andy Andrews' The Lost Choice, then you can check that out here.
Let us know what big concept you're going to put in your next writing.
Thanks for watching.